It just feels like everything's come together. Stock levels is high, buyer appetite's high, opening and people feel bulletproof because they've been locked in their houses is high. And today, my friends, as we wait for this audience to build up, we've got a very, very, very good webinar coming with a great guy. He's an absolute Frank. I've got to tell you, when you told me you'd selected Kon to come on, I was very, very excited. And those of you that are joining on Facebook, I can see the red signals on, live streaming. Welcome, everyone. I want to tell everyone here that this guy here, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the sharpest sales leaders in the business in Australasia. I've met them all, 34 years in real estate. This guy is good. And what's interesting, Frank, is he originally was not down the path of being a real estate agent that became a principal, that, that was not the path, which is the normal path we see in real estate. He came out of the corporate world in Victoria. I still remember, and by the way, Kon, welcome.
Hello, guys. Thank you.
Kon, I still remember the day that you had just been appointed at McGrath's, maybe around, I'm going to have a rough guess and say between 7 and 9 years ago. Am I right?
Yes, spot on, 2014.
Okay, wow. So I got that pretty accurate there, 7 to 9 years. That's when you were there. And I remember you got appointed and I was sitting there in the bottom room and John McGrath said to me, now, give me your unbiased view. He goes, give me your unbiased view. What do you think? And take the Greek out of it. I want you to be unbiased. He goes, give me your unbiased view. And I said, John, for a guy that has come out of a non-real estate and not even related to real estate, you weren't even related to real estate, corporate world, I got a good feeling about him. And he goes, why is that? And I said, he appears intelligent and he appears to have good EQ. So I said, if you're smart and you can read the play, as long as you're hungry, you'll make things happen. And you've had, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Kon, you've had the Parramatta, well, let's call it Parramatta West. Is that what it's called? McGrath, Parramatta? What is it? So define the territory.
Yes, so essentially we started off at McGrath Parramatta, taking over that company-owned office and turned that into a franchise, and then added Blacktown at the beginning of this year, where Joel Hollings and Armit became partners in our group. And then as officially from Monday, we take over the McGrath Rouse Hill business. So essentially our territory goes from Auburn all the way through to the west and northwest districts. And Phil Nicholas becomes a partner in that business. We extend through to the Hawkesbury through Greg Vincent. And we've also merged with Ruma Mundi from First National Northwestern and her team. So essentially it's given us a footprint from Auburn to Bilpin.
That's incredible.
Okay. And man, that's a massive territory. And I've got to tell you, Frank, I've always said it, that's where the real action happens in real estate. If you ever want to interview a salesperson that does 100 sales a year, you're actually going to go out to that part of the world. You're not going to find them in Rose Bay, right? You're not going to find them in Mossman, right? You've got to go out. You've got to go out west where the turnover is. The results. John McGrath has shared the results that you've had in the time. How long has it been now, Kon, that you've been running the business there?
So about 16 months at Parramatta.
16 months. Now, how big's your sales team with everything that you've acquired? How many salespeople in the group now?
Total 27 sales agents, 16 sales associates, 12 property managers, and 5 in our agent services business. Onshore, plus some offshore support.
Right.
Awesome.
What are you most proud about the work that's been achieved in the last 18 months, 16 months?
Tom, this is a business that's built on people. So, 12 months ago or 14 months ago, we took a business that was kind of, number 3 or 4 or 5 in its marketplaces. And we took on 5 sales agents that were really good agents and really good people, but that weren't in momentum. So watching every single person in the business have an opportunity to double, triple, quadruple their business in the last 12 months is probably the proudest moment. Plus the work that we do behind the scenes in the community that we don't talk about, that we don't kind of publicise. So supporting our people internally and supporting our community externally, they're the two most proudest moments for us.
Okay. Most of the people that are watching this online or on Zoom right now, Con, are people that are in the business of listing and selling real estate. And obviously, more listings equals more sales equals more GCI, which is the livelihood of our audience. There's a lot of people that hear about the $1 million agent or the $2 million agent. But for me, the average agent that we speak to regularly is actually doing 250 to 300 or 400 GCI, right? You know, I'd like to ask you, you know, if you were working with them as a sales leader, what do you think you'd be focusing to get them to go from 250 to 500 or from 500 to $1 million? What are the things that you would do to help them go next level?
Yeah, good question. That's exactly what we did with our foundation agents at Parramatta. So they all were around that 200 to 250. There was one that was at 500. They've all doubled, tripled and quadrupled in the last 12 months. I've got to say, first of all, you know, Tom, we've had some great success, but the market's also got the strong tailwinds that are propping us up. So what we're doing is essentially riding the market, but we're putting vigor around process and making sure that the agent has a very clear plan and direction. So I guess the first thing that we do when we coach is, why are they doing what they're doing? You know, what is the burning platform, as JM speaks about, or what is their why as to why they're in real estate? It's pretty hard doing 250. It's a little bit easier doing 500, and it becomes a lot easier doing $1 million or more. And so once we kind of work out where they want to go, it's almost like setting the GPS on your navigation. If you want to get from this destination to that destination, do you want to avoid tolls? Do you want to go through the scenic route, or do you want to go to the fastest possible way with the least amount of traffic? So I tend to find that agents that are at that 250 to 500K mark in their journey, they've got good skills. They understand the basics around prospect, list, negotiate, and sell. They might be, you know, kind of a black belt in one of those 4 categories, or maybe 2. So we start stripping it back and work out, what are they really good at? What are they not good at that they could become better at? And what do they just need to outsource or offshore from their plate to remove any friction from enabling them to get through with the least amount of kind of, you know, road bumps along the way. So I guess if I condense that, it's really making it very clear why they're doing it, what are they good at? And then what we do is we put a plan in place that basically enhances their skill sets around prospect, list, negotiate, and sell. That's all we focus on. So in our business, we've removed every single part of the process behind the scenes that stops an agent from doing those 4 things. And when they get really focused, less is more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We then crystallize that in a business plan. So it's very, you know, everything's documented. We know what they're doing. They share that with their significant others, their family. Everyone in the business is on the same page. And then we've got weekly, you know, catch-ups around, you know, what are their commitments like? So we don't call them KPIs in our business. We call them commitments. What are you committing to? That could be for you, Tom. It might be calls, connects, BAPs, maps, laps. For Frank, it might be really simple. How many past clients am I speaking to? So it's a bespoke strategy. Then we give the listing its life. So the listing for us is the lifeblood. It's the source of everything. And so what we do is we make sure that that shines, and we have a really strong process around launching a listing, launching an open, advertising an auction, and then obviously the result as well. So we enhance the agents. So the agent's job is to prospect, list, negotiate, and sell. Our engine room, supported by associates, takes care of the rest to be able to make sure 1 turns into 3, turns into 7, etc.
Frank, can you see why the intro I gave the guy? I mean,
Yeah, I can.
you understand. You know, we're talking about a combination of energizing, expiring, but in also practical. Because there's too many people that talk the fluff talk, but it's not practical. They talk, you know, it rhymes really well, it sounds really well, but tell me, how does that actually work tomorrow with a client, right? Now, I'm curious, Frank. So, Con, just tell me this thing about, and that's an interesting one. What you're good at focus on, double down on. Then you've actually said there's two ways you can go. You either improve on something or you turn around and say, you know what? I just accept it. I suck at it. I don't like doing it. I'm going to actually get someone else to do it. What are some of the things, Kon, that you outsource with your agents? Give me an example of things that agents outsource.
So I mean, if you're looking at admin, that's one part. So, and I can explain how our model works, but in our business, agents don't do admin. Okay, right. They're focused on those four core elements, right? But agents will, sometimes it might be door knocking, it might be cold prospecting, it might be, attending bank vals, building and pest. So what we do is we actually strip back their dollar productive hours. Yep. And so we look at it and go, okay, well, this month, Tom, if you're writing 250, you're on track to do 15 or 20K in gross commission. So let's split that down between, 4 weeks, and let's split that down into 8 hours, and it works out to be X amount of dollars per hour that you're actually investing. So if you're doing a task that isn't going to give you that level of return or more, then the internal rate of return on your time is being compromised. So why would you go and attend a building and pest or bank val if it's not going to give you the return? So let's offshore that, outsource that to someone in the business that's going to be able to pick up the slack. It might be that they're not really great at leading teams. So then we put them through a process where it might be, well, let's teach you how to become a leader. And let's show you how you actually structure a team, roles, responsibilities. How do you actually measure success is different from the individual. Some people are, I need 5 listing appointments every day. Well, is that achievable? Is it realistic? Is that actually going to happen? But I think that the biggest thing that I see, particularly with my team, is their belief. Do they believe they are good enough or worthy enough to be a $500, $700 million agent, whatever it is that they want? And in our business, we don't have a team of rock stars. We have a rock star team, okay? So this isn't a business that's built on everyone must do $1 million. We build it around the individual's desired outcome. So for you, Frank, it might be, you know what? If I can do 300K GCI, and I can do that working 4 days a week, and I get to be able to spend more time with my partner, my kids, my parents, my hobby, or whatever it might be, my passion, then we'll design the game that you can win. Okay? And I think a lot of people, particularly at that 250 to 500K mark, they're interested, but they're not committed. So they're turning up every day and they're doing 3 hours of really good work, but they spread it over 8 hours. I would rather you come to work, Tom, at 10 o'clock. You've had a sleep in, you've gone to the gym, you've had breakfast with your partner, your friends. Come in at 10, do 3 or 4 good hours, then go pick up your kids, and that's all you need to do, as opposed to kind of elongating that. So we just get really clear and really focused as to what is the desired outcome, and then we just point, shoot, and we go for it.
So, Kon, I want to talk about the thing that you said about they don't believe in it, right? It comes up often, right? But I often think to myself, like, how do you get a non-believer to become a believer? I can do that. Like, have you? I mean, I'm curious because I do listen. I agree 1,000,000%. In my own work, I talk with people, and I sometimes feel like, man, there are people that I know that have written $1 million for 3 years in a row. And they're often saying to me, matey, yeah, look, in 2019, I pulled off this project marketing deal and I got that, thank God for that. Then in 2020, I just had a bit of momentum, a good run. And then in 2021, mate, I picked up this cracker listing and it set me up for another 7. But I just don't think it's going to run. I think my luck's run. Even the $1 million agent is thinking to themselves, I'm lucky. That's all it was. And it wasn't me. It was luck this time. How do you get someone to realize, hey, you actually were integral in this, or you can do this, you can achieve this?
Mate, they've got to be ready, Tom. They've got to believe that they're good enough and that they're valuable enough. And I think what happens is that it's like, I think real estate agents are generally, we're hunters, right? So we see, the prey out there, we catch and we kill. we've got to become a little bit more balanced and become farmers. So you've got to kind of plow the fields and you've got to sow the seed and then you've got to nurture it. And then when you harvest it, you're going to harvest so much of it. So it's the belief system of planting that seed. They are good enough, number one. Number two, it's breaking down the mooring lines that hold them back, the belief systems, i.e., mate, of course I'm never going to win against Tom Panos. I mean, he's the number one agent. And for that Frank bloke, mate, he's 1% funds marketing. I've got no chance. So we pay attention to our competition. It's prudent. It's a smart business decision to be able to look and see what's happening, but we don't give our competitors any oxygen, okay? So our belief system is that if we've got a strong enough value proposition and what we do is unique and proprietary that no one else can replicate, then we're only competing with ourselves. And so once the agent realizes that they can win that listing and they can get, great fees and they can get vendor paid advertising and they do it once and then they repeat it and then they do it by the third or the fourth time, they stand a foot taller. They feel more confident. The structure, the process and the outcome works. Okay, so the biggest thing here is, when they're open and they're ready to accept that they're good enough and that they can do more, but doing more doesn't necessarily mean that they've got to spend more time. A lot of people think, okay, I did 250 to get to 500, I've got to now work double. It's not how it works, right? So I've got agents in our business that write $1.5 to $2 million that have 2 days off a week. And whenever they want a time off, they've got the team that's there to support them. So it's all about belief systems and then backing that up with process, technology, people in your team, etc.
Love that. Okay, I just want to make a quick comment, Kon. I can clearly tell how your business has grown as it has over the last few years, and I can clearly tell you've come from, you've got very strong business acumen and energy, and I can imagine it's very infectious with your team and with the people that come within the business. Like it's like within the few short minutes we've been together, like I'm pumped. I want to go right 250. Let you get me on the journey.
Come on, Frank, let's go. Here's the thing, right? We are in the energy business. Yeah. Okay. It's and I hate using this term with what's been happening with the pandemic. It is contagious. It is infectious. So I look at it kind of going, okay, well, what version do I want to bring to work every day of myself? If I've had a bad night's sleep or a big night or I've had a fight with my missus or whatever it might be, it's a choice for me that I make every morning when I get out of bed and, put my feet on the floor. What choice am I going to bring today? Okay. Yep. It's exactly the same in real estate. Who am I choosing to be today? Am I avoiding that conversation that I should have with a vendor that might be overpriced? But who are we to say that they're overpriced, right? Our job is to follow a system and a process. And if we do that, we're transparent, we work with integrity, and that we're being really good and positive out in our community, then the rest of it's actually quite easy. So it's a balance of skill and will. Okay, the skill can be taught, the will can't be taught, right? So what we look for when we're kind of going through, building agents and their EBUs and their teams, I should say, and building that agent, it's what are they up for? Okay, that's the will. What's that burning platform? What's the skill that matches that, right? Yeah. And Tom, if you're a really good listing agent, but your vendor management might not be strong, we will then overlay the skill because the skill can be taught, right? And that's how we kind of do it.
Love that.
Listen,
hey, we have a question, Tom.
Yeah, I just saw that. Costa Sapunius, you don't have to be Einstein to know. Welcome to the Club of Greeks. Hi guys, who set up the business? Who sets up the business plan? Is it the business in conjunction with the agent, or is it the business after the discussion with the agent, providing the agent with the plan?
Look, we are in partnership with every single person in our business, irrespective of what role they play. So we do everything with them. So we have a guiding principles. We call it our Everest mission. It's been shared across, through other agencies. And what we kind of look at is, like, to get to where you want to get to, there's a journey. And we map that journey out year 1 to year 5, and every year we revisit that. But to answer Costa's question, we sit down, we go through it together. This is their plan, it's not mine. So, and this is the big difference, is I'm not attached to their outcome. I'm not looking what I can get out of them as a principal. I'm actually looking what we can do for them. Okay, and what tends to happen, Tom and Frank, is when the agents have the belief system, the back-end support, They've got, great energy, great momentum. They really like working with the people that sit next to them. They're in a great culture. The environment is strong. It's conducive to, learning and development. It's a safe environment. They feel love. That's when the magic happens.
Yeah, love.
Kon, I want to talk briefly about some practical market share strategies, stuff that you've done that have helped you, because your market share has dramatically gone up in the last year and a half. What are the first ones that come to your mind that have been really strong plays that have helped you win business over?
So here's the thing, right? We're on display 24/7, right? So we've got REA, we've got domain, we've got signboards, stuff in the letterbox, we've got open homes, auctions online or on site. So the first thing that we did, our business was positioned 5th or 6th in our region. And within 3 months, I should say, we became number one. We've been number one in the Greater West for the last 11 months in a row. And what we did is we looked at the gaps. So what are the gaps? So the beauty about, as I said, our industry is that we're always on show. So you can work out very quickly what Frank does really well as a competing agent versus what Tom doesn't do really well, and then just exploit the gaps. That's the first thing that we did. The second thing we did was align the talent to the right territory. Okay, so we don't have a geographical farm. We believe in relationships, not postcodes, right? And so what we did is, if Tom is in an area that is not community related or affiliated, doesn't like the people that he's actually working with, buyers or sellers, doesn't like the type of product that he's selling, units, townhouses or houses, then why are we trying to fit a square peg into a round hole? So we looked at then our geography. We then looked at gaps of where we had, either dominant, declining, or no market share. And then we moved the jigsaw puzzle around. So what talent did we need to attract? What talent did we need to grow? And what did we need to do around making sure? So we're running this as a business. This is a business. Okay.
I can see that.
It's not a spray and pray approach. Everything we do is with very clear intent that we're looking for an outcome. Okay. And so what we then did is overlaid the talent, and then we built that talent up. So I'll give you a really good example in our business. Kim McCleary, she's been an agent for probably a decade or more. The year that she had her best year, the year that I took over the business, which is about 400K in GCI. Great listing agent, great negotiating agent, and a very strong auction agent. And probably where she lacked, where we outsourced, was the admin and the support to be able to leverage the listing, the auction, and the result. So we basically did a few tweaks, matched her with the right person, moved her territory to a focused area where it fitted her community, and she's gone from $400,000 to $1 million last financial year, and she's already written over $500,000 for the year so far. Wow. During COVID. So what we're doing is we're kind of looking at the approach of which marketplace fits the individual, where do they have a connection, and then we overlay the plan of what they need to do, prospect, list, negotiate, and sell. What are the support structures around? We're not talking about bus shelter advertising. We're not talking about banners. We are talking about a strategic plan. Okay. Then we use people like, the Real Base and the Campaign Track people, and we made a decision as a business that we were going to focus on the product AIM. So no one's been dominating digital out in our space. And we thought, well, hang on, we're in the Northwest West corridor, which is the fastest growing probably region in the country. And there's obviously a lot of people there. What about if every single listing was boosted through a social product like AIM? What that did in a very short period of time, so we made the decision that it was one in, all in, okay? In a very short period of time, we created an audience, a unique retargeting audience of over 125,000 people. Every time we list a property, it gets directed back to that audience. That audience then keeps growing month in, month out. That created a really unique listing tool for us, okay? So we start looking at what are our competition doing? What are we doing or not doing? What are the gaps? How do we either make the gaps bigger, or how do we close the gaps? And how do we create something that no one else can replicate? Because if I go there, Tom, and I go, man, I'm going to boost it on Facebook, I'm going to put it on REA and domain, and you're 3.5 and Frank's at 5. I don't want to commoditize what we do. I want us to be the surgeons that come in there that are providing so much value that fee and marketing really don't come into it.
Man, this guy, look, you're one of the few people that I know that's actually talked about this subject of the virtual database, which a lot of people, a lot of people in real estate have got this thing in their head. Listen, it's all about getting the email into the CRM system. Yet we clearly know, and the data is very, very clear on what open rates are. And we know that there's a group of people that don't look at emails. End of story. And what happens is, if they're just posting on their social media, Con, and they're just posting to their friends, they're just showing Uncle Con or Uncle David, hey, here's another listing, right? Whereas these virtual databases are people there that the algorithm knows are interested in this, right? As people are, look, Con, there are people here. Look at this guy here. He's commenting on you. Give the man the stage at Eric, Tom. Right?
I agree, Tom.
Give the man a stage at Eric. I've got to watch it, because I know that one of the things that John McGrath hates doing is making it look like the McGrath affair. But when a guy's this good, right? But Frank, this is really, really important, right? This thing about virtual databases, I've shared the story previously on how I ended up buying a tessellate towel because I was on the beach at Terrigal, Con. I was on the beach at Terrigal, and what happened is, someone picked up a towel, and my daughter goes, "Look, Daddy, that's magical, that towel. The sand falls off it." And then what's happened is I've gone on to the database. I've gone on to Google. I went on to Google. And what's happened is, on Google, I've looked at this tessellate towel and I've showed it. And then while we're at the beach, about half an hour later, I'm scrolling through social media and the tessellate ad comes up and it says, buy two, get a third one free, So I ended up spending $200 on towels, which we've hardly used. But this is what happens. The power is there, that they're able to work out which audience at a specific time is in the buying position. And so is AIM done, Con? So you put this in your marketing submissions. When you go out to listing presentations, you say to your vendor, here's realestate.com, domain, signboard, whatever else you do, and AIM there is as a product on all listings.
Yeah. So our concept around this was, every market, and I've had the benefit in my previous role at McGrath working in the East, Lower North Shore, Mid North Shore, Queensland, etc. Every market is unique. Every market is going to have the 1% agent and the agent that funds marketing or styling or whatever. So we just made the decision, okay, so if we get, let's go back, right? If we've got 5 agents that are servicing 39 suburbs originally that are doing pretty okay, we come over, we overlay the plan, the culture, the environment, the leadership, the vision, the commitments that they, want to achieve. We add the right agents or the right talent to the business, and we grow that. We grow teams, and then what we do is we continue to get more listings and we grow market share, and then we overlay things like AIM. None of our competitors have a retargeting audience of now close to 130,000 people in the territory that we're talking about.
And unique to you. That's the key that you touched on before.
We don't share that.
It doesn't get shared. If you go elsewhere and use another product, it's shared out, and so it's not a listing presentation tool where you can truly say, this is because of our market share and our market area. And it's a good point you put before. It's one of those things. Sometimes people dabble. They try it once or twice and then they think, oh, I'm not getting it. It's all about that building up over time to ensure that you're actually capturing and building up the virtual database, like Tom suggested.
These are people that are in the buying window. We're not talking about the girl or guy, and this happens all the time, guys. I get people, hey, Tommy, you'll be so proud of me. My story went viral on Instagram. I pumped this story out there. Look at it. It's got 3,000 views. And man, look, having a cafe owner in Puerto Rico look at your story because you were on holidays together in Bali 2 years ago ain't getting you a listing, pal, mate. You got
we're not tracking vanity measures, Tom.
I mean that.
We don't track that. The ego I mean, most of the agents that that are following other agents, and agents aren't the ones that are buying that property. So what we're doing is we're putting science. See, here's our strategy, right? Our belief system is, if you've been invited in to pitch, and it's normally between 1, 2, or 3, you've already probably done enough selling to get there, okay? So if you're going into a listing appointment and you're going, I sold this and I sold that and I sold this and I sold that, you've missed the point. The point of when you're getting into the lounge room is to de-risk the owner choosing you or choosing another agent, right? So they've made the decision to sell. Now they've just got to work out, which agent do I go with? And data tells us, and every white paper I've ever read under the sun will tell us the hardest part of the entire process of someone selling their property is the selection of an agent. So why do you make it hard for them? Make it easy for them. De-risk the situation. Show them that what you're doing is, we use data so much. So for example, like I had a listing appointment earlier today, 11% of the buyers in this region are coming from the inner west. So it just happens to have, with the McGrath network, we have the inner west connection there, and the McGrath database is all connected. But more importantly, what we're going to do, Tom and Frank, is we're actually going to point and direct our social product right to that audience. So then that way that can create lookalike audiences and drag them through when they might not even be looking about it. Rather than just go, I'm just going to send it out to my database on an e-newsletter with less than 1% open rates.
Well, I've got to tell you, that was absolutely gold. That last few moments there, and I'm telling everyone down the barrel, the victory in real estate is not winning the business, it's pitching for the business. Think about that for a moment. The victory in real estate is pitching for the business, not winning the business. And as Connor's basically said, if you're there at the table, I've got to tell you, it's there for you to lose, my friends. You're there at the table. Just make it easy for them to say yes, right?
Spot on.
Now, listen, last question before we go. Con, I want to ask you, there's a few principals that watch these, a few leaders, people that, are sales managers maybe, and some of the things that they're interested about is, how do I get this place sort of pumping? How do I create a place that, people are pumped about work and they feel, they just are operating at a higher vibrational energy? I want to ask you, Con, secrets of high performing principals and officers, anything you can share there?
Yeah. Make the decision to decide what you're up for. Are you going to list and sell and kind of build people around you, or are you going to build a business? You just got to make the decision, right? So when I took over the Parramatta office, I made it really clear in my mind, I didn't want to be a jack of all trades. I wanted to be a master of one. And I felt that if I was going to go out and prospect list, negotiate and sell, grow my own EBU, and then I was going to also run a property management division, recruit a couple of agents, do a couple of one-on-ones, then have to run around and say, sorry, Tom, I've got to go. I've just got a vendor meeting. Oh, Frank, I'll call you back. I've just got the buyer calling me. I just felt that I couldn't be able to serve my team in the best possible way. So my coaching to other people in similar positions would be, make the decision to decide what you're going to be the master of. If you're going to list and sell, then be an absolute weapon at that, but then build the infrastructure around your organization that enables everyone else to have that equal opportunity to shine. So that would probably be the first one. The second one would be is, have you got a commitment to actually putting others in front of you before you? So, the Greeks have a word called philotimo, right? And that basically says is that if you come to my house, I'm going to give you whatever that you need, food, sleep, clothes, whatever it might be. So how are you actually behaving internally? Like when the calling comes in, is that, oh, sorry, Tom, that's my client. I sold it to him 5 years ago. Or is it, hey, buddy, there's a free kick. Go and list it. Make sure you bring me two off the back of that. Yeah. So I kind of look at it and go, well, what are the culture standards? Are they clearly documented? Have you actually told your people what you're up for? Yeah. So in our business, our team knows exactly what our mission is, year 1 to year 5. They know what our culture standards are. They know what performance looks like. They know what's acceptable behavior and what's not. And we don't manage this as a dictatorship. As I said, this is a partnership. So I want to walk into my office, and we've got now 4 offices with a 5th coming. I want to walk in and high five everyone, and I want to actually like the people that I work with.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want Tom to be in my team because he makes me money. So
Yeah.
money is the byproduct. I'm not chasing that outcome. So I could normally say to other principals in this position is, have you made the decision to decide which path you're going to take? Then pick the right one that suits you for where you are in life right now. Pin your ears back and go your hardest.
Love that.
Love that. The biggest decision you're going to make is the decision on what I'm going to actually do in this business. Frank, I had a principal once say to me, I was at the awards night. I was sitting there at the table, you know, the ones where black suits, you know, drinks there, long awards going for 2 hours. And it was the sales award. And the salesman that was at the table that worked for this office won the award. And he got up, he was pumped, you know, pulled out his mobile, you know, taking photos, the stuff that you do, you know, pumped, excited. And the principal looked at me and he said, you know what? He really underestimates what I do for him. If it wasn't for me, he wouldn't be up there. I'd be the one up there. And I remember thinking to myself, why was he worrying about a comparison on who was going to be on the stage? And I just thought to myself, he doesn't want to be the principal, because if he did, he would have actually got up and said, yes, he did it. But instead he said, I should be up there.
Yeah.
And when Kon said that to me, I just thought about that night and I was thinking to myself, why wouldn't you be giving the guy a pat on the back instead of saying, hey, I made you that, you know?
Tom, why wouldn't you be able to build a model that goes, not only, hey, Tom, well done. What we're going to do next year is double that.
Yep.
This is the plan. Here are the resources. This is the support. And mate, I love you to bits and you're awesome in the business. You're such a team player. Why don't we talk about your future and the longevity in the business? Because mate, I don't want us to ever not work together. How does that sound? Because we're in the business of real estate. We're actually, I mean, real estate is the byproduct. This is how I think. Might be right or wrong. But I believe we're in the talent, coaching, recruitment, and data business, which happens to be in real estate. And when you start thinking through this, going, hang on a second, if I've got the best player on my team, if I can throw all the energy and resource and help them get to where they want to get to in life, and I've got to give a little bit away, isn't, 80% of something better than 0% when they pack up and they go next door or across the road? Yeah. That's just my philosophy.
I love it. Now, by the way, everyone, those that are watching, those two gentlemen on the screen, I'm going to go and say that I'd love to put a competition on. And the competition would be that they would do a 14-kilometre run and then followed by a 1 hour CrossFit class. I would make sure that it would all be standard. We got one guy that's a CrossFit addict, Kon, and we got Frank, who just does 20K strolls around the ground. He just does these strolls, right? Most people prepare for 6 months to do a 20K run. He just goes off on his lunch break. I'd love to put a competition on. They've got to do the run followed by a CrossFit class, and then I would be the judge, and the winner would get a McGrath cap and a real base cap, right? You get a cap each, right?
Hey, you got to throw in the real estate gym membership for next year.
Yeah, please.
And I throw in a real estate gym membership. I would do, mate. I'd throw a real estate gym membership for a decade to be there at the end to just see the. I mean, how many days a week do you train, Kon?
4 days a week, 4 to 5.
Mornings?
Always 5:30.
5:30. CrossFit.
CrossFit, yeah.
Okay. And Frank, how much running are you doing at the moment?
I haven't been doing as much lately, Tom, probably a couple of days a week, but also training CrossFit style for 4 days a week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You know,
best way to empty out the rubbish bin every day, right?
Oh, no, 100%. It makes the rest of the day easy.
All righty.
Exactly.
Guys, fantastic, Kon. It's been an absolute privilege you've given, and I don't want anyone, please. And good comments coming through. Christian Bartley, congratulations, Kon, on your achievement in a short time. Few icons, emojis going there. By the way, I've got to tell you, I gave a tip to an agent, and he said to me, Tom, you're spot on. You go to a listing presentation, everyone. You walk out, send a text message, nice text message as you walk out with an emoji. If you get an emoji back, you're connected. You're on the same page. If you don't get an emoji back, and you don't get a text message back, there could be an issue, right? Just letting you know. Anyway, gang, Thank you so much. Rosa, Melissa, Costa, all watching in here, Facebook and those on Zoom. Stay well. Con, thank you so much. Frank, I'll see you next month.
Cheers.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.